What happened in Tennessee, I believe, could happen anywhere in this country, and here's why. We are back on the Tennessee 3 and Me edition of the Thinking Out Loud radio show. And as I said before the break, we're going to be talking about the Tennessee 3 throughout this entire episode. Representative Gloria Johnson, Representative Justin Jones, and Representative Justin Pearson, three dynamic lawmakers that have, or two of the three that have been reinstated back into the Tennessee House. But this episode, again, is to talk about what happened in Tennessee and how we believe that it could happen anywhere in this country. That's right, guys. What happened in Tennessee could happen anywhere in this country. Before we dive in, those of you who are watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, hit that bell notification. That way you won't miss any of our videos when they are uploaded to YouTube. We always do a new video on Monday. Look out for a new video from the Thinking Out Loud radio show and TV show on Mondays. That's right, guys. And you won't miss an episode or a podcast clip if you just hit that bell notification there as well. Guys, those of you who are listening to us, make sure that you subscribe to the podcast. That way you don't miss an episode of the Thinking Out Loud radio show. We've also included a link to the full episode of the Tennessee 3 and Me podcast right at the bottom of this video. So make sure that you check it out. Those of you who are watching us on YouTube. Now back to my question again, or what my proposition is, what happened in Tennessee, I believe could happen anywhere in this country. And here's why. There's two demographics that we have to be concerned about as voters: African-American voters and young voters. African-American voters and young voters. The two very critical voting bases that don't turn out as well as they should when it comes to the elections. Well, I wouldn't say not. I was getting ready to say the elections that matter, but elections across the board, because presidential elections are elections where normally the voter turnout is higher. I'm talking about the local municipal elections, your primary elections, your state elections. Those elections, the turnouts are usually lower than your presidential elections because because of the national implications that go along with that, obviously. But African Americans and young people are two very important demographics that voter turnout is usually lower than it should be. And I have proof. I got statistics to back up what I'm talking about. I'm going to share that with you right now. The Tufts University Center for Information and Research on Civic Learning and Engagement. We have the statistics right in front of us that we can look at. This is the historical youth voter turnout by race and ethnicity in presidential elections. Black Americans are identified in green, and then you have your Asian Americans. The Latino Americans are turquoise, and the Asians are more of a darker green. Blacks are lighter green. So in this particular graph or graphic, you can look at, let's look at the African American youth voter turnout historically. This goes from 1972 all the way through 2020. And we can just kind of take a look at how African American young people have voted throughout the course of this time frame or this time period. Obviously, you see in 2008, the voter turnout for young African Americans were right below 60%. It was almost 59. It was around 59% or 60%, almost there. Obviously, that was the year that President Obama was elected president of the United States. So you can thank the young African American vote. He can thank the young African American voters for putting him across the finish line. The white Americans voted very high in 2008 as well. They voted right above 50%. And then Asian Americans are the darker green, and they were right above 40%. And Latino Americans were right underneath them, kind of running neck and neck as well. So they were about 30. They were about 40% for both of those demographics there. According to this poll, the historical trend line using census data highlights that youth voter turnout increased among every racial ethnic group in 2020, but may have increased the most among Asian American youth. Meanwhile, Black youth, whose voter turnout was historically been higher than that of Asian and Latinos, but still lag behind white youth, except in both of President Obama's elections. Again, going back to 2008, it dropped off. It dropped off a bit for for African Americans or Black youth in 2012 when he ran again. That there was a drop off from 2008 to 2012 with young African Americans, with white Americans, with Asian and Latino Americans, and then it went up. It went back up to where it was. Well, actually, so white Americans actually went up in 2020 to 61%. African Americans went down to 43%, but young people are great when they're behind a cause, when they're pushing a cause. Black Lives Matter, the Me Too movement, gun legislation. This is the movement to get behind and to push forward. Again, the reason why we believe that this could happen anywhere in this country is because we as African American, we as young people, do not regularly go to the polls and vote. We've got to be a part of the change that we want to see in our world. What did Gandhi say? You have to be the change that you want to see in the world. I want to hear from you guys. Those of you who are watching us on YouTube, those that are listening on the podcast, let us know wherever you're watching us. Drop it in the comments. We want to know, are you going to be a part of the change that you want to see in this world? We have got to make ourselves a committee of one and make sure we go to the polls and vote, especially in these upcoming presidential elections in 2024, because we have an opportunity to change the trajectory of this country, not just our cities, our states, but we have the ability to change the trajectory of this country. We can change our city councils. We can change the majority as Democrats in the House of Representatives. We can make changes, but we've got to go to the polls and we've got to make our voices heard. It's up to you. What are you going to do?